beet greens, then of course the cost would go down. So the cost of food is very artificial in this country. So, and yeah, it is unfortunate, but you know, I make certain sacrifices here and there. I don't go shopping very often for clothes because it's important to me to eat healthy.
It's extremely expensive.
Basics, yes, yeah. But you know, studies have shown, and it's arguable, that America does consume way too much animal protein. We don't need that much to be healthy. Animal protein is healthy, but not in the amounts that we consume it. So if you were to reduce your animal protein consumption by a couple of meals or a couple of days a week or whatever, vegetables are way less expensive than meat, right? And plant foods, a plant-based diet, across the board, studies have shown that a plant-based diet is way more healthful. So, and I'm not saying veganism is healthy. Animal protein is healthy, but not in the amounts that we consume it as Americans.
What, are you trying to put a stake in my heart here tonight? I'll disagree with that, and that protein, animal protein, is very important for our diets, and there's many medical studies that have shown that recently. And so buy beef, it's good for you. By the way, in the cattle industry, we do all natural, organic free. You can get organic beef, grass-fed, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of us are doing the all-natural, which means we don't feed antibiotics and we don't implant them with hormones. And so our beef is very clean and it's awesome. And anyway, that's, you know, this is one of the challenges that we have, is that the organics are very expensive. It's just like the cage-free eggs right now are extremely expensive. And what the industry is going through to meet that. And it all gets back to what you have to do to meet those requirements. To a large degree, again, going back to your comment, vegetable farming is very profitable. And you look at the prices that they get for vegetables compared to corn, soybean, beef, and others, they do quite well. And that's why they typically have not needed subsidies, because of the cash prices of vegetables. It's a totally different market, a totally different deal. Yeah, but even still, they're predicting that the vegetable market is going to go down this year. Okay, the prices are going to plummet. And again, it has nothing to do with demand. What it has to do with is the fact that the retailers are putting the squeeze on the producers. And they know we have a finite product, or not a finite product, we have a product that's perishable, and they put the screws to us. So as our producer prices have gone down, you haven't seen similar prices come down in the stores. That's the way it has always worked. And so, we do face our challenges. For example, right now today, at the wholesale level, Hickman's egg farm, you know, in Arizona, they're selling eggs for 10 cents a dozen. It costs them 65 cents a dozen to produce those eggs. Every hen in America today is losing money. Okay? And what do you buy your eggs for in the store right now? It's over $1.
It's like 3 cents.
Okay? Organics is $5. They're not getting that at the farm level. And this has been the rub between the agricultural community and the grocery store chains, the wholesalers, for years and years and years. Is that the prices in the store never come down. For example, with the beef prices in the store should have come down, but it hasn't. Reflective of what we're getting at the farm. So that's the challenges that farms have and continue to have. Now let me talk about this marijuana deal as it relates to agriculture. Yes, a lot of people aren't aware of this. In the writing of the initiative, they wrote the Department of Agriculture completely out of this deal. Part of our responsibilities of the Department of Agriculture is to protect agriculture in Arizona from pests and other things that would destroy agriculture. What they're finding in Colorado is they're finding a lot of that marijuana is being sprayed with pesticides and herbicides. And they're also importing, not on purpose, but they're importing all kinds of bugs that impact other kinds of agriculture. And one of the things we've done very effectively in Arizona is get rid of the pink bollworm and all these other bugs that attack and kill our crops. If those infestations occur on marijuana fields under 205, my department is not authorized to go in and quarantine those fields and shut them down. Like I can do with any other crop, any other animal, we have the authority to do that. I believe the people that wrote that deal did it on purpose. And the whole agricultural community in Arizona stands in jeopardy because of the way that petition was written. If you want to smoke marijuana, fine, but write something that protects the agriculture community in Arizona, okay? But don't, I mean, they're going to create this whole new agency, the Office of Marijuana or whatever it is, but there's no ability to protect the crops. It's insane, absolutely insane. So that's why I'm voting no.
Is there another question from the audience?
I actually have a question real quick. Going back to the Seralini study, what's your response to people who say that he used rats that already have a tendency to develop cancerous tumors over other types of lab rats? Either one, whoever wants to take it.
I'm not aware that that's the case. He used the same breed of rats that Monsanto used in their study. And
Okay.
actually Monsanto's study, as far as I understand, they did have one rat in their study die unexplained reasons. And I also wanted to speak, Mr. Killian spoke about how we've been able to take care of bollworm and different pests with BT corn and BT cotton.
No, we sprayed that stuff.
Oh, you spray, okay, you
No, we
sprayed.
sprayed it.
Okay. Well, this chemical solution for every problem is really misled, because it's spraying herbicides to take care of weeds is creating super weeds. We've got over 35 varieties in 27 countries. We're creating superbugs now. So that's the way life works, right? Anybody ever seen Jurassic Park? It says life finds a way, right? And it does. So weeds, any organism directly evolves to overcome a presented threat. So weeds are doing that, and bugs are doing that, and bacteria is doing that. You've all heard that argument about antibiotic-resistant bacteria. The way that they splice the desired gene into the food that they want it to present in is they put a marker gene of antibiotic-resistant bacteria. And it's been, so this antibiotic-resistant bacteria, along with the desired gene, the desired trait, is being introduced into our food supply. And against FDA, own in-house scientists warning against doing this, they've done that. So this is a problem. Life does find a way. It finds a way to overcome these threats. Okay, so, but farmers for hundreds of years have been able to work with that, work with life to diversify the different varieties of corn in their cornfield to overcome those threats. They've been doing it for a long time. A really good book to get into the life of a farmer is called The Good Earth. It's about a farmer in China. And it talks about the ups and the downs of having a good year and having a really rich year. You know, that's just part of agriculture. And agriculture is no riskier than any other venture. Okay, so any other business is no riskier than any other business.
Really? Let's talk about that for a second. You tell the farmers over in Safford that had a freak hailstorm 2 weeks ago that came in and ruined their cotton crops.
That's part of farming. And then the next year they'll have a better crop.
They won't have the money to exist next year.
Okay, so this is talking about economics, okay?
Well, but listen, farming is extremely risky because you're totally dependent on Mother Nature,
Right,
okay?
yeah.
When you're building phones and computer chips, you're not dependent on Mother Nature, okay? You create artificial environments to do all that stuff. So if a storm comes by, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. We're dependent on totally 100% on the environment and our ability to exist in that environment. And you're right, farmers have found a way to do that, but they also have used new technologies to do that. And I want to give you an example. The differences in corn, from ancient corn to modern day corn, okay? And what I fear is that a lot of the folks that, and I'm not saying that you, okay, But a lot of the folks that are anti-GMO want us to go back to prehistoric foods, caveman foods. I'm not going down that direction, I'm sorry. We have increased and improved our production and our foods. And again, I'll say this again, there's no scientific studies that prove that GMOs are creating cancer or problems in human beings or in animals. We've got 20 years of evidence that that's the case, and we're gonna disagree on that. And so anyway, that's kind of, sorry we disagree, but.
Got a question?
So if they're altering the corn to produce a toxin, the Bt toxin, and you can't wash it off, then when you consume that, you literally are consuming pesticides. And we have all these people who have irritable bowel syndrome and allergies, and I work at a restaurant, and every kid is allergic to everything now. And so you're saying that in the 90s, which is when the explosion of allergies started, no one was informed that their kids were now consuming all of these foods that are genetically altered, and yet you're saying that corn is safe? I can't wash off the pesticide.
Well, the bottom line is, you can't tell me that that created all those problems. There's no way, and there's no direct correlation.
Right, because you're not doing the studies, because
No.
our children are guinea pigs.
No, what we've got is scientific studies that show that that's not the case.
But you don't though, but you don't, and you have studies all over the entire world that say that GMOs aren't safe. And you have 64 countries, including China, that either ban or have mandatory labels, but we in the United States don't even know we're consuming GMOs. So it just makes me laugh that you would put a picture of corn up there and say how wonderful our corn is when it's producing a toxin and I'm feeding it to my child.
It's not going into your children at all. It's just not. I'm sorry, we're gonna have to disagree on that,
Okay.
okay? And I'll tell you why, because if the toxin was going in, it would show up.
So the
hold on a
bus
second,
bike
let me
toxin,
finish.
right?
It would show up in the beef that you consume, and it's not showing up in the beef, because we feed GMO corn to our cattle. They're going to the feedlots. And that chemical does not show up in your beef that you consume, nor in your eggs that you consume, okay? If it's not coming into the animals, it's not coming into us. Now, the bottom line is, in all of this, technology is very important to us. It always has been, always will be. And I will eat GMO corn every day of the week. I'm not afraid to feed it to myself, my grandchildren, my children. I'm not afraid to feed it to my animals. I'm not afraid to grow Bt cotton because it means I use less pesticides, okay? And my quality, my cotton's better, my yields are up. I'm living this every day, okay? I live this every day. And I can tell you as a farmer, I'm not gonna produce something that poisons you, okay? Now, I saw a very interesting study the other day that one of the universities did on why they think a lot of our kids have so many of these allergies. And you know what their results was? They said, because we don't let our kids play in the dirt anymore, okay?
That could be.
Yeah.
We don't, we're so afraid to let our kids experience earth and dirt, okay?
Wouldn't you say that the pesticides that we're spraying though is also killing the good bacteria that they're not consuming when they eat their food?
No,
I
I'm
mean,
not,
same thing.
no, I'm not worried about that at all.
So it's
Because
not
it was-
playing in the dirt, but the food that we consume doesn't have that good bacteria that it once
the
had in
food-
the past.
The food that you're consuming right now, that you get in the stores, particularly your fruits and vegetables, that is not a problem, okay? It's just not.
So the food, conventional food that is not organic is just as healthy as it was in the past, even though pesticides are on it and therefore there's no good bacteria that we're consuming that is good for our body and the good bacteria helps our immune
We've used
system, like
pesticides
any of that stuff.
we've used pesticides for 60, 70 years, okay? 60, 70 years.
Right, and we have cancer like crazy.
But you
My
can't,
gosh, everyone has cancer.
but you
Everybody has
can't
cancer. say
say that that is caused by the new technologies in our agriculture. I'm sorry, we're gonna disagree on that. You bet.
So yes, we do have a lot of correlations. That doesn't prove causation, but yes, if you look at any graph of the incidence of diabetes, of gastrointestinal disorders, of GERD, of food allergies, they all go up with the increased planting of genetically modified crops and spraying of Roundup herbicide. That doesn't prove causation, but there's a very strong correlation in every one of those graphs. Speaking to that Bt toxin that you're talking about, scientists assured us that the Bt toxin wouldn't be active in our bodies because it's activated in an alkaline environment and our stomach acid is acidic, right? So that it would be destroyed. However, a new study was carried out by independent doctors at the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at the University of Sherbrooke Hospital Center in Quebec. And they found 93% of the pregnant mothers that they took blood samples, the Bt toxin was there. So something is going on here. How did it get into their blood? I could go into more science about pH, but that'll bore you. So,
Can you address, Mr. Klein, can you address how you apply pesticides? Because I know I saw a presentation that you did where it's different than what it was, and so as far as the pesticides getting on the actual food is different
Well,
with the computerized tractors.
there is some significant changes in how we do pesticides now. And, you know, the old days, when they used to do it, it was mass application. There's still some of that. But in the research that we're doing now, the new technologies, I'm assuming you want me to talk about the new technologies, there's an institute in Arizona called the Arid Land Institute, which is a magnificent organization. If you ever have a chance to go see them, you got to see it. They've developed a machine, a tractor, that has infrared eyes on it and computer eyes, that when they go through the field, it measures each and every plant individually and knows exactly if it needs fertilizer, if it doesn't, if it needs a pesticide or herbicide. It's magnificent. And as this technology develops, our uses of those things are going to go down. It's because of new technology, because it's plant-centered and plant-centric. And so to a large degree, all these new technologies that are occurring in agriculture are going to benefit all of us.